Welcome in, Miss Bethany. How's it going, dude? I hope you're having a good day. Thank you for the rose. Welcome in, Leo. How's it going? Welcome in, Miss Melissa. How is it going? Well, I guess Tok's sending them notifications today. Welcome in, welcome in. How's it going, JJ? How's it going, Josephine? How's everybody doing? Hi, lady, having such a good day. Good, I'm glad. It's been a productive day over here. It's not only been good, it's been productive, you know. Good, I'm glad everything's going well. I'm glad everything's going well. We are just getting started. Thank you so much for the rose. Thank you for the gift. How is everybody doing? What even is today? Is it Wednesday? Happy Wednesday. Hey, Miss K. We are just getting rolling. We're going to see if we can't get a few more people in here. If you're in here, please tap that screen. Please share the live. Share the love. Say hi in the comments. Blow it on up. Fast who rich. How's everybody doing? Thank you for the shares, man. Thank you. We are just getting started. We're just having some fun today. The list is open. We're doing reads. We're just doing 12-12 for everybody across the board. So if you want a general, we can do that. If you have questions or maybe you got a topic you want felt into, we can do that too. Thank you so much for the donut. Whoop, whoop. Thank you for the donut. Welcome in, guys. How's everybody doing, man? I hope it's a good day for everybody. It's been a very productive day over here. Welcome. We are just getting started. Hope everyone's had a good day, dude. I hope everyone's had a good day. Note to self, if you shop at Dollar Tree, like $1.25 tree now, don't get, like, you can get the nail stampers, but don't get the stamped gel, like the physical gel stamper. It's awful. And I didn't know that. Like, the plates are fine, but the gel stamper is awful. So I'm gonna have to go get like an actual gel stamper now. So, but regardless, welcome in, guys. We are just getting started. If I can pull it together enough to shuffle some cards, then we'll just go ahead and pop right off here, you know. So, here we go. It's only as big a deal as you make it, Miss K. It's a good song. Don't let somebody ruin it for you. Alright, so we're going to pop off. Jesus Christ. Welcome in, Jesus. How's it going? That's funny. 8:48 on the clock. Alrighty, so we're going to probably pop off with collective here. See what collective energy we're sitting in right now. And see what we can kind of get going. The list is open, guys. We are doing reads today for 12-12, so if you would like something felt into, we have Cash App, we have Venmo. Just make sure you come back in, you let us know how you donated, so that way we can get you on the list. Sometimes those apps are a little slow, and we just don't want to miss you. You know what I mean? You know? Alrighty. Thank you all for being here. If you're in this room, please continue to share the live. Please continue to tap that screen. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but it makes a big difference, and it helps keep us out on FYP. So it lets new people know that we're over here and doing some cool things. So it does help. So while I'm popping off with collective, oh, that can't be good for my feminines. That can't be good for my feminines. Oh, hell. We're going to see what we got going on. Thank you for being here, guys. Oh, hell. Somebody's forgetting who they are. Somebody has forgotten just who they are. My feminines, what are we doing? What are we doing? What changed? We were doing so great. What changed? Now we're back to owning burdens. We're back to not understanding ourselves. We're back to feeling trapped or stuck. What are we doing? We're the high priestess. We got ourselves into this mess and we can get ourselves out. And they're talking about your decision actually being your perspective and how you choose to look at things. I got the Ace of Cups down here. It's almost like you're not viewing your cup as being full. They're talking about how this is kind of your hidden power. Your hidden power. I keep hearing someone say, I'm a realist, and things have been hard. That's fine. But you're also a creator, being a feminine. You're also someone who's determined as shit and strong as shit, and you have to be in order to hold everybody else's shit that's not yours. And they're talking about how someone's starting to relearn what brings them joy, and they're having to find it during dark times. And when they're saying dark times, I feel like you're making times darker than they need to be. We need to start separating ourselves from the collective funk feminines. So if you are in here and you are feeling kind of the dip down low, please understand that this is what the collective energies is doing right now. You're sensitive to it because you are a high priestess, kind of like an empress energy. Because I feel like we're talking to more mature feminines. I don't feel like we're talking to younger feminines here. I feel like we're talking to a more mature feminine. Why are we self-evaluating ourselves so hard? I don't know what we're doing as a collective right now, but why don't you start viewing yourself successfully? Why don't you start viewing yourself as busting through your proverbial glass ceiling? Why don't you have your hard work paying off? Why are we viewing ourselves in such a negative lens? It's talking about how you're judging yourself so freaking harshly. It's like you're not seeing your universal truth. You're not seeing how you look to the universe. You're not seeing how you look to source, to God. It's like you're just seeing the one thing you didn't do or the one thing that hasn't worked out, and they're just talking about how this has been a trickling effect for you. And they're starting to ask you to find a different perspective, to find a new type of clarity, because your hard work is paying off. You got to drop your expectations of how things are going to pay off. That's really what I feel like I need to tell somebody out here. Like, don't allow your childhood problems to like bridge into this. And by childhood, it could be your physical childhood, but it's also like your younger you, your more naive you, your easily gullible you, the one who didn't know better until they had to know better you. Like, don't allow those problems to trickle into the present. Those are in the past. Leave them in the past. And if you haven't dealt with them, that's where you should be. That's where you should be looking right now, because you're being called to put things into action. And when we're talking about action, we're talking about your self-love, we're talking about your nurturing, we're talking about you trusting things outside of yourself, but also trusting yourself. You can't trust somebody if you don't trust you. They're just talking about how someone needs to realize their strength, and we got 2 or 3 strength cards out here right now. You're fighting the end of your cycle, you're fighting the end of completion. This full moon should have been an end of some of your feminine cycles. It should have been a completion of some things, and somebody here is still fighting it. They're still fighting their abundance, and honestly, you're fighting it because it's like you're not choosing to categorize it as abundance. You don't want to label it as that. You're losing a little bit of your feminine sensuality because you're pushing it away so hard. And they're just talking about how you need to be soft with yourself, because that's the one thing you can give yourself is softness. That's the one thing you can do for you. Everything keeps flipping up face down. I feel like this is all the shit you can't see, and as I'm talking about all the shit you can't see, you can't figure out how to balance your emotions, and you can't see how strong you are, and you're causing yourself mental turmoil. Look at that, every single one stuck right in your head. It's a problem of the mind. There's nothing wrong with you, but you're playing games with yourself. Don't play with me, play with your bitch. And this is exactly what they're talking about. It's almost like, I feel like there's two parts of the collective. Somebody who has allowed others to run circles around them playing games, and the person who has done more damage to themselves than anybody on the outside possibly could. And I feel like this part of the collective is talking about the people who have done more damage to themselves right now. The people who have not viewed something the way they should. The people who have gotten stuck in their head and been their own worst enemy, created their own hell on earth, or hell in a vessel. You've done it for you. You've done it for yourself. And they're just talking about this is something that you're going to have to come to terms with, because now that you know it's you can stop it, right? Now that you know you're the problem, guess what? You get to fix it. That means it's within your control. If you're doing it to you, you can stop doing it. That's how that works. But this is also how you affect things. This is also how you affect change in yourself. This is also how you start re-grabbing the reins of your chariot. This is how you start reviewing the universe and the world in a more positive way. And they're talking about how somebody out here has a whole group behind them, and I really do feel like it's your ancestors back again. I feel like they're making their presence known right now, coming off this moon, where some of you guys should have released and are still struggling. And they're just talking about how they're behind you, pushing your energy, so that you don't go around again, you don't do another same cycle before you get to a precipice moment again. So if you feel like you haven't talked to some of your past loved ones, your ancestors, whatever you want to call it, now would be a great time to break some bread. Now would be a great time to call in for a little bit of strength and a little bit of help. And the reason being is because they're already here and they're waiting. They want to help you. So if you feel like something's bigger than you, even though we're going to touch that topic another time, because there ain't nothing bigger than you, even though you feel like something might be energetically larger than you and you can't deal with it, it's too hard, you know what? Look to something you view bigger. And sometimes there's power in numbers, because I really do, like, someone's over here crying over a bad relationship. Someone's up in their head about a bad, upside down, unbalanced King of Cups. Somebody's causing themselves turmoil and heartache and pain, and you're sitting up at night. This is you, though, right? And this takes me back to that one collective read that I did, months ago with this card. And I did it on the website. I didn't even do it on here. That's the wild part, is that they're taking me back to the fact that in this Queen of Swords card, you see how her hair is all braided. And it took me back to the Game of Thrones quote, you deserve no braids, you've won no victories. Well, that card, she was fully braided, which means you've won victories. She had a sword in her hand. You know how to fight. You know how to come out on top. These are all things that you've done time and time again. So don't kid yourself into thinking that that's not something you can do. You've already done it. You've already done it time and time again. And you've been one of the people to do it for others, so now the Spirit's telling you gotta do it for you, so you're gonna have to put your big girl pants on. There are power in numbers, so if you feel like something's larger than you, your ancestors are kind of here talking about how you should lean on them a little bit, you should call on them, you should call on your team for assistance, because nobody said you had to do it alone. I feel like that's a misconception. No one said you had to do it alone, you know? Jesus, that was intense. That was intense. Just dropping cards all over the place now. We're not taking that because that was all messy. What were we just talking about? This must just be something the collective's going through right now. Like, what were we just talking about? Let's see if I can hold all these cards up. Doesn't get any more obvious than that. But I hate to tell you, like, you're the only thing holding you back. You're the only thing holding you back from sunshine and daisies. It's you not wanting to realize that this is something in your control. For some reason, you're giving your control away with this one, with this topic, with this feeling, with this emotion. It's in your control. It's It's in your control. You decide what to do with it because you did it to yourself. You started the mental games, you started the mental turmoil, and you're playing it on a repeat loop. So whenever you decide that you've punched yourself in the face enough, you can stop the loop. But there's still a part of you that doesn't feel like you deserve the loop to stop, and that's what you gotta look at. Why do you feel like you don't deserve peace? Why do you feel like you haven't given enough in this area? Why don't you feel like you can't have these things? You're fighting your transition. You're fighting your transition to the core. Like, you're putting in hard ass work to fight this transition. They're wanting you to become your Queen of Cups, and I have it out here on the table. I have the Fool card out here as well. They want you to be balanced. They want you to find peace. They want you to be secure. They want you to have emotional bliss, and that's the way I'm talking about it. Emotional bliss paired with physical abundance, paired with physical completion, paired with physical fulfillment. But you got to get like on the other side of this little lake, and you don't want to do it. This is in your control. Don't allow anybody to fool you. While this might have been caused initially by an outside incident or an outside person, you're the only one keeping it alive right now in your energy. That's what they're talking about. Even though this might have been tied to a masculine who wasn't mature and couldn't handle you and mishandled you, you know, and mishandled you, either dropped the ball or just outright up. It's just one of those things like that happened. Fantastic. But you're the only one keeping it alive in your energy right now. Enough with the, oh my goodness, enough with the upside down cards. I feel the need to tell someone to like pump into their wand's energy. Like, you really need to get the fire lit. Like, let's stoke it. What do we need to get you passionate? What do we need to get you excited about doing the growth, doing the things, pick a goal. Like, you can have it. Like, it's like this, it's almost like someone's just putting a bunch of like water on your fire. No, we need to get your flames big, because that's where the creation comes from. The creation comes from your passion. It comes from your fire. It comes from that type of an energy. And they're just talking about the things that you're going through right now are acting as your tower moment. Like, everything you're going through right now is acting as your tower moment, and it's coming down. Like, it's coming down on your head. That's the way that I want to say it. It's like it's coming down on your head, and you don't know what to do with it, because it's like you feel like you weren't prepared for this. But this is one of those things, like, when you choose not to move, you get moved. Welcome to getting moved, because you have avoided it for so long, and now it's almost becoming unavoidable. And they're placing it in your experience, in your energy, in your path, in order to be addressed. Yeah, what did I just say? Placing it in your path in order to be addressed. We got the star card out here. There you go. It's yours to control. It's yours to deal with. So quit trying to avoid it. Quit trying to look the other way. So this has been the collective, like, I almost said hoo-ha. That's weird. The collective hoo-yah today. Oh my God. You're like so stubborn in the way that this is something that you could easily do. You could easily balance everything out. You could easily get over it, but it's like you just don't want to look at it. It's like that's one chapter in the book that you're skipping. You can't skip things and have solid foundations. You can't skip things and not have holes in your boat. You can't skip things and just think that that's going to be an okay way of doing things. You have all the solutions in front of you, and that's what I really feel like I need to say on repeat. Like, you have all of the solutions right in front of you, because you're the cause of all the problems. Right now, in the present, with what you're doing to yourself, you're the cause of all your problems. Now, in the past, when we go look back at an older us lens, yeah, it might have been started or kicked off by somebody, but they're just harping on the fact that you're the one dousing diesel on the fire, keeping it lit. So you got to ask yourself why. You got to ask yourself why. That's something you can relieve yourself of. And they just keep saying it on repeat, so I think we're just going to stop there because they just keep on repeat being like, how much are you going to toss on this fire and then pretend like you're not the one throwing stuff on it. That's just what they keep saying on repeat. Like, when are you gonna stop building the fire and then being mad that it's burning? You're not your past, and the future hasn't happened yet. So if you're not defined by your failures and you're not defined by your past, that means you get to choose who you want to be in the present. But you got to detach from your past to do it. So if you're still holding on to things in your energy field, you can't do it that way. And that's where you're getting stuck. So take a look back. What haven't you detached from? What still has control over your emotions? What still has control over your energy? The way you react, the way you function. Start there. Start there, my feminines. And for some of you, there was an upside down king, so it could be a masculine energy. I think it was an emperor in the beginning. So it could be someone you view as either an authority figure or maybe like a father figure, or just somebody older in general. But we also had the King of Cups come out a little bit later, so it is somebody who, in a sense, was emotionally immature or unbalanced when you guys were in some sort of relationship. And I feel the need to say relationships don't always need to be romantic. They can be platonic. They can be platonic. They can be, friendships, co-workers. It doesn't matter. Anybody we come into contact with has the chance of being a woo or aw. So, definitely okay. Welcome in, guys. Thank you so much for being here. We are just getting started. The list is open, and we are doing 12/12 today for reads. I saw Miss LeighAnn come on in with the first spot on the list. I'm going to just scroll back real fast. Oh my goodness. Thank you for all the shares. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you. Mama Mary. How's it going, dude? Long time no see. Crystal Baptista I hope I said that right because it's hard to see because of the white on the shirt. Crystal Baptista, thank you for the follow. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bethany, it resonates? Aw, I'm glad it resonates. Happy birthday, Crystal. Shout out. Thank you for confirming the stuff I've been trying to show myself. Aw, Kalila, you are totally fine. I'm glad it helped in some way, shape, or form. Been working through the negative self-talk for a couple weeks, and it's been working. Yeah, and it's one of those things that when you're an overthinker, you just gotta not think. When you catch yourself thinking about something, you gotta say no, and you just gotta go do it. Because the things that you really shouldn't do, especially when you're an overthinker, you'll have every red flag being waved, and even if you decide to go do it, you're not going to do it. Like, there's just something about the energy that, it's like when you know you shouldn't do it, you don't even hesitate to question it. Like oh, maybe no. If it's like a hard no, the energy's there all the way, and you don't begin to do it. Like, 100%. Everyone I talk to is like, oh, I just didn't do it. Why? I don't know. I just had a really strong gut feeling. If it's not that, then we got to question where it's coming from. Thank you for the heart, Crystal. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the gifts. Thank you for sharing the live. Miss Whitney, it's what you're going through? Nice. You're singing my favorite song. Which one? Is it the music playing in the background or the Don't Play With Me by Young Dolph? Because I think I did say that. That was actually part of the collective message. Like, early this morning, I, opened my eyes, and that was the song that they started playing I didn't even sit up out of bed yet, and they just kept playing that song on repeat, and I was like, okay. How what? I don't know what how is, Miss Crystal. I'm gonna keep scrolling, though, but it just says how. How. Oh, for the... Go ahead and let me know how what. Like, how are you in control of it? Like, control of, like, putting your past and your present? Is that what you're asking? Aw, Misty, welcome in. Welcome in. I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the collective. And you're more than welcome to hang out for as long as you like. You don't know how to encourage myself. I call bullshit. I call bullshit. I call bullshit. Kalia, I call bullshit. You know how to encourage yourself. It just feels uncomfortable when you do it. There's a difference. There's a big difference. You encourage yourself the same way you would encourage a friend. But now you're doing it for you. And now you're doing it when no one's looking. And it makes you feel uncomfortable. You got to sit with why it makes you feel uncomfortable. Because you know how to show yourself encouragement, right? Because you ask for outside encouragement from others. So you know how. It's just extremely uncomfortable to accept and to do. Thank you so much. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for the rose, Miss Crystal. Thank you, Bethany, for the gifts. Thank you. Keys. How is it? I got you, Miss LeighAnn. Let me just write your... Oh my, I thought I broke my pen. I got you, Miss LeighAnn. Thank you so much for the roses. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you. Thank you for the follow, Whitney. I like Young Dolph. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know all his songs. I just know a couple because my ex used to listen to him while we were together, and there were a couple that I liked. I'm like the type of person who just knows the song lyrics, and I don't know who sung it, and I don't know when it came out, don't know the title of the song, and I have to, like, pretty much talk the lyrics into like my phone, Google or something, and then hopefully they can find it, you know? How do I stop that cycle, those thoughts? You really should have, not you really should have, that was a weird way of saying that. You really have to be aware of when they come in. So start small, start just paying attention, right? Like, don't try to stop them off the get, right? Like, let's start paying attention to what we're thinking. So tell yourself, I'm going to start paying attention to what type of thoughts I think throughout the day. Do that for like 4 or 5 days, right? You're going to start to notice a pattern. Either the randomness of your thoughts, the non-stopness of your thoughts, how they come in, who you're around when they come in, you know, did it spiral out of control, or was it just something random that I grabbed onto and then I spiraled it out of control, you know? So some people will sit with like something really small, you know, I don't know. Like, I don't know. We'll just do something ridiculous. Like, they see a squirrel and go, oh, what a cute squirrel. And then be like, man, I wish I had some nuts. Speaking of nuts, I think I'm nuts. Well, I'm probably not nuts, I'm stupid. Well, I'm not really stupid. I just can't do anything right. You see how that spiraled out of like this wild control? And then there's a different type of spiral, and you're just minding your business, and then it's just like, you're an idiot. What? Like, that's two different types of voices. One of them, you're spiraling, and the other one is more likely outside energy that you can pick up on, and it's hitting your energy field, and that's what is being, that's the response of it interacting with your energy field, and that's how you perceive it, right? So then you're owning shit that's not yours. So there's like two different kinds of thoughts. Like, if you're just minding your business and then you get shit talking, like, out of nowhere, you're not thinking about anything, you're not doing anything, that's not you. You don't just be gaslighting yourself. Like, but then if you start doing something, then you and your subconscious and your shadow start spiraling things. Well, those are two different things, and you handle them different ways. So everything starts with awareness, so you have to start paying attention to what kind of thoughts you think, how you think, and how your thoughts work for you. Because some people don't don't think, you know what I mean, like that. So yeah, you got to pay attention to, is it review? Are you being inundated with memories and they just happen to be all bad memories? Like, you got to start figuring out how it works for you. And then once you know your tells, what a couple days look like for you, how your brain works, right? Your awareness starts kicking in. Then you just got to shut it down. Like, you literally have to tell yourself to stop. Like, you have to tell yourself to stop. So if we'll take the squirrel thing. Oh, it's a cute squirrel. Man, I wish I had some nuts. What if I'm nuts? You know what? I think I'm just stupid. What? I'm not dumb. Wait, hold on. Pause. I'm not stupid. We're not doing that. And then you just go about your day and pick a different topic. Sometimes I tell people to have like a set pick-me-up. For one of my clients at one point, I just told her to think about something happy because she was getting sucked in by her shadow into a very depressive line of thinking. So that anytime she caught herself thinking super depressively, I was like, start projecting something happy in your mind, right? Like start projecting that out. And she picked puppies. Fine, something super simple, but everyone can picture a puppy in their mind. Everyone can smile when they see a puppy, unless you like seriously are afraid of dogs or something. Like, that's something to completely help you not only shift where your brain is thinking by inserting something, but it also shifts your energy. And because puppies for her instilled an energetic response, it was like training her brain and almost rebalancing her energy at the same time because it was pulling her so low. That doesn't always work for everybody, but it worked for her, so it was one of the tools that we had to cultivate, you know what I mean? But the more you just cut it off and you stop that train of thought when you realize it, the key is not beating yourself up for it. You shouldn't be beating yourself up going, oh God, why did I do that? I'm so stupid. I can't believe I was doing so good. And that, no, don't do any of that. Just cut the train of thought and then move on like it never happened. It's one of those things, if you fuel it with all of your negative self-talk or your backlash or your judgment, it doesn't get any better. It only gets worse, right? That'll only start happening more frequently because you're still feeding the negativity. So you just want to cut it off altogether. Move on, you know. And you'll notice that you can cut it off sooner, right? You'll start cutting it off sooner in your cycle of a thought. But then also it just won't be happening as often because it doesn't get fed, so it kind of dies out. And usually if you're trying to work on that part of yourself, you're also trying to work on other parts of yourself. So a lot of times you end up bridging the gap between your subconscious and your conscious, and you're giving your subconscious and your shadow a space to talk, be felt, understood. And then a lot of times those things don't just pop up out of nowhere anymore because they're being expressed daily. And they're given room, and they've met a balance and an understanding to where they don't have to overtake you in order to be heard. And a lot of times that's really what that is. Called out. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Spirit shit talks. It depends on your team, because your team is you and you are your team, so it does depend on your team. However, not typically in the way that you're probably thinking of spirit. So spirits technically can also be lower level energies. They can be entities, and yeah, sometimes they do talk in not the nice tones. But most of the people that I end up working with, a lot of times they really don't have big attachments, or they don't have, can you leave? Or they don't have, entities that are overrunning their lives. A lot of times it's their own shadow, which is doing the most harm. But yeah, technically it can happen. Yeah, things in lower vibrations can have some kind of shit-talking energy, to where they start bad-mouthing. But a lot of times the outside energy is just other people. So the outside energy could be you're in a room with 3 people, maybe you work or something, and you could be picking up on your colleague's energy. And because the way that energy is hitting your field, if you're an auditory person, you may be hearing it as, you're an idiot. You suck. You're not worth anything. Right? In your head, and that's actually how somebody else in the room is feeling, and it might not be yours. So that's why it's really important to use discernment to know if it's yours or not, you know, because thoughts are they're just the product of energy. they're not anything by themselves. They're just a product of energy coming into contact and products of energy moving throughout the body, you know. So in that stance, yeah. Thank you so much for all the love. Thank you, thank you. Oh, Disco Love. Yeah. I've never got that one before. I never got that before. I was picturing... Well, dead people can. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Dead people can. Passed on people can because they still hold their personalities. So it's definitely possible. All right, let me just check spaces. I believe I have LeighAnn and Whitney before we pop off into the reads. I pushed the wrong button. Just give me like a second. All right. Am I back? Am I golden? Am I golden? Thank you so much for the gifts, guys. Thank you for all the taps. It is much appreciated. So, Miss LeighAnn. Miss LeighAnn, are you still in here? Thank you for being patient and waiting while we just answered everybody's questions and we got finishing off. Thank you so much for all the gifts. General, all right. You already know what's up, Miss LeighAnn. Thank you guys for being here. The list is open. We are doing 12-12 today. I got LeighAnn and Whitney on the list so far. Wow, that was ugly. That came out like, ugh. Alright, hold on. I think your team needs to pick one. Give me a second. Just give me a second. Your team's having a moment here. And I know it's yours and not mine. They need to pick one. Because your masculine and your feminine is trying to talk at the same time. And it's not very helpful. So just give me a second. Do you... Are you having trouble playing nice? Are you having trouble playing nice with somebody? Or maybe you're just learning how to play nice with somebody. Maybe you're no longer playing the fighty back and forth games. And the only reason I say this is because you have the Five of Wands out here. However, it is in reverse, but specifically in this deck, it's not only like your passion, but I feel like for you it's almost like coming out of that. I don't really feel like I don't know if I feel as though it's kind of and I wonder if that's kind of also why your team was like legitimately fighting for the cards, because he and her could not decide who was gonna speak and who was gonna talk. And I'm going to be honest, I feel like she took over and I feel like he's kind of sitting in the back, attempting to kind of shout things. Like, not in a bad way, just being like, hey, like, so I just feel as though you're coming up a little bit against some, like, head-to-head is what it feels like. A little bit against some head-to-head. I feel as though you're really moving through it. Like, I want to say you're coming to an end. It's almost something that's almost over with now. I want to tell you won. And I feel like you won by not doing what you normally do. I feel like you won, I don't want to say by taking the high road because that's not really it. But I just feel like you stood in your power and that's what did it for you. I feel like you stood in your power, and that's what did it for you. So let's see, now that we know that we have all this crazy going on. And it's kind of weird because I feel like as much fire that you have right now, I still don't necessarily feel like you're very confident in yourself. Which is so interesting because they're talking about all this fire energy and how you can be passionate and you can be quick and you could, but it's like there's still almost this lack of confidence in self. Like this lack of knowing, this lack of femininity, it's like you're still attempting to prove something almost to somebody else, and they're talking about how you're not really giving yourself enough space, you're not giving yourself enough grace, and you're certainly not enjoying yourself enough as a feminine. And they are harping on, she is harping on feminism for you in the way of knowing your strength, knowing your worth, and not apologizing. So I don't know if you're somebody who used to apologize a lot and say sorry even when there was nothing remotely your fault or your problem to deal with. It was like your filler word. You stuck sorry into things is the way that they're almost talking about it. I don't know quite yet if you're having issues in a love sense outside of you, because I haven't asked quite yet, or if it's just the inner battle. But this is a really big part of your journey. For you specifically, it's, I want to say co-mingling. Weren't we just talking about your fire energy? Like, I could have swore we were just talking about your fire energy. And they're just talking about how whatever little trifle you just went through is gonna be your lesson. So as much as you kind of were hoping that this wouldn't come around, because they're talking about how it was something that you were kind of banking on not happening, is the way they're saying it almost. For something for you has been very persistent, and you've been almost like continuing to do you regardless. Like you almost didn't allow it. Like it tried its hardest to knock you off your square, but it's almost like you were like, nah, you know what? I'm going to choose me and I'm going to keep going. And that's why you have this rebirth card out here. That's why you have this forward movement card. That's why we actually have a movement card. That's why we have an actual movement card. Out here is because you didn't let it stop you. Now, I feel the need to say when it comes to your path, I want to say your path. When it comes to your path, you're making her there. Like, you're getting there. I don't know if that's something that you've been questioning lately in specifics. You're getting there. However, they're kind of talking about your need for inner growth right now. And they keep highlighting your feminine. Like, they're highlighting your feminine a lot. And I get the feeling as though your masculine doesn't necessarily feel comfortable allowing your feminine to take over. On the inside of you, I'm talking, not the outside. And they're just talking about how you're kind of being called into a little bit of stillness, and this is taking me back to like the remember who you are kind of a thing, because your feminine guide is attempting to communicate with you. She's attempting to provide you with help on your healing journey, and that for you is one of the most difficult things that you have to do. It's not even the get her done, it's not even the tasks, it's almost the patience part of it, of the stillness. 9:29 on the clock. It's almost the patience part of the stillness that's happening. But the stillness is like extremely important because it allows you to see yourself, and it allows things to develop, and it allows you to be the seat of the observer. And that's where they really want you right now. And she's talking about how she's trying to guide you. I'm sorry if you can hear my dog snoring so loud. I'm sorry. But she's trying to guide you in order to provide you with help through your healing. I feel the need to tell you that like your self-love needs to be dialed up a little bit. Your self-love needs to really be something that you start focusing on like level 10, because there's like an imbalance I don't know if you favor one or another as far as your energies go, whether you favor your rational versus your emotional. But it's almost like this lack of, how do I want to say it? Excuse me. It's almost like this lack of like emotional caring, maybe caring for yourself, but it's not like physical caring. It's not like showering. It's like this, put myself last on the list because I have 12 other things that need to get done, and I'm prioritizing things. Maybe that's a better word, prioritizing things differently. And they're just talking about how you should be prioritizing yourself higher on the list. And she is an like advocate for you is the way that I want to say it. Yeah, this is your lesson. This is your lesson. She is an advocate for you to help you break the chains that you have put on yourself. Like, I don't know who led you to believe that you weren't a badass. I don't know who led you to believe that you had to put up and you were the one who had to assume all the burdens and you were the one who had to do all of the heavy things and embody all of the struggle for everybody else, but you don't. And this is why I have this oppression card out here. This is why I have this burden card, because you're still walking with it and pretending like it's not there. And this is where you begin to fight your own lesson. This is where you're fighting your lesson 1,000%. Your lesson right now is to be soft. Your lesson right now is not to be the strong big bear, is not to be the warrior with the sword slicing everything. Your lesson is to bridge into your sensuality. Your lesson is to bridge into your feelings. Your lesson is to put your sword down and go sit by the water and be still and see your reflection. This is part of your lesson. But it also shows your strength, right? Because you have to be secure. And they're just talking about how you don't see things 100% clear right now. And this is what's causing you to question things, is sometimes you don't feel clear in your directive. You don't feel clear in your communication with source, spirit, your guides. You don't feel clear in what you're doing right now. And I feel like something shifted, because they're talking about a recent shift for you. Because I feel like as though they were talking about, it was clear. Like, I feel like they're saying it was clear. Like, you were seeing it, and they're specifically talking about signs. You were seeing signs. And they had the sun card out here, and they're leading to your confidence in the fact that you were seeing signs and you were very confident. But then they hit you with your next lesson, and they kind of tripped you. Like, it kind of tripped you up a bit. You started questioning yourself. You started not feeling as connected. You started doubting. Maybe that's the word. You started doubting some of the things you were doing, because the outcome wasn't necessarily as you had projected your expectation to be. And that is the way that they're saying it, projected your expectation to be. But they're talking about how you can move through this, and you can move... were we just talking about a tower? And you can move through this. This is something that you can easily move through. We have this 6 of Swords coming out here, and you can easily move through it onto bigger and better healing, onto bigger and better things is kind of the way I want to say it. But you can't do it by ignoring these things. You can't do it by turning the other cheek. So you're going to have to sit with yourself, and you're not going to like it. Like, you're not going to like it at all. It's not going to be fun for you. In fact, you're probably going to loathe it. It's probably going to be one of those things that you're going to eye roll about, kicking and screaming for the first couple days, because you're going to feel like nothing happened. I feel like I can hear it already. Nothing happened. I didn't get anything out of it. I don't understand. It's hard. I have trouble shutting my brain off. Like, these are all the things that they're kind of talking about right now. But stillness isn't doing nothing. It's being still. Try to change the way that you think about the words, is the way that I wanna say it, right? Like, think of it as like a stream or a pond or a puddle, right? Like, you're gonna be sitting in the water. Your idea is to be still, not do nothing. you're doing stillness, which is doing something, and I know that's hard, but your idea is to sit there so you can see you. If you move around a lot in the water, if you're trying to do all these things, and you're trying to go a mile a minute, you create ripples, and then you can't see, and that's where your lack of clarity is coming from, because they're talking about how you just kind of hit overdrive again, and you're doing too much of the things, is what they're saying. You're doing way too much of the things to where you're not allowing yourself to see clearly. And the more that you cloud up your energy, especially when you're still learning how to work with it, the more you cloud up your energy, the harder it is for them to communicate with you. They said trust yourself and we'll be there, which is interesting. I've not had that said yet in my space. Confidence, resilience, strength is all what they're saying. Confidence, resilience, and strength. They're attempting to have you balance everything at once. And I don't want to say that that's difficult. But it's almost like they're attempting to have you balance out your mind so that way you can best create space to then balance out your emotions. To then balance out your physical better, to then leave room and time. This is the way they're saying it, so just go with me. Then room and time to balance out your emotions. Once you get your emotions, your energy in motion, your feelings down pat and in balance, is when then you can start creating with your fire energy. But for you, it starts with your air right now, is what they're talking about. And your air energy would be your mind. So this is why they're trying to get you to still your mind, so you create space so that you can better physically balance your life out right now. Physically balance between all the things. And then once you have physical balance, you will have created space in the physical, which is considered time. And time will allow you to then go in and balance your emotions and start doing that inner feminine journey. But what it's going to allow you to do with the stillness and clearing out your mind, it's going to allow you to receive the clarity you've been asking for with certain things. And like we talked about before a little bit ago, it's going to allow you to see yourself better. Because without, like, the noise is the chaos. The noise is unstructured. It's in the way. It takes up a lot of space for you. So they're asking you to make better space so that you can get your desired result. Are you fighting, like, with an outside person who's, like, has a full representation for you, like, not just on the inside of self? Like, I don't want to say mom. But they have you out here as, like, attempting to be, like, in control and protection at the same time. Not them, but almost you. And it's like this perception that you're not necessarily winning the fight, which is interesting. Yeah. Yeah, as we're talking about perception, we got the Hangman out here, we got the Two of Swords, and we also have the Three of Swords, which is all talking about heartache and pain and decisions. So that's very interesting. I think they want you to really change how you see your mother. I think this is going to be one of the biggest things for you specifically. Like, not only is this a cycle for you with the moon card, but this also has kept you stuck for, like, far too long. And I really do feel like this is something that they're asking you to kind of bridge out of. And you need to look at her as separate from you in the way of being a non-issue for you. They're kind of linking it back to how you view feminines as a whole as well, as to that some of the issues you're having with your own femininity and your feminine inside you is linked to the mother, because she wasn't always the most supportive thing, because she wasn't always the most soft thing, and because she kind of came in like that negative Queen of Wands who was kind of a little bit charred people with her fire, and didn't always use her creation energy and would use her destruction energy. Could be a little bit nitpicky, maybe a little bit manipulative or negative, especially when it related to you, another feminine. And they're just talking about how you'll find, I'm getting goosebumps, how you'll find a bigger play on that than you might have thought originally. Because I do get the notion that you don't want to be anything like your mother. And when we fight being anything like somebody, usually we end up becoming our own unique version of the very same thing in one way, shape, or form. So they're just talking about how it has a ripple effect for you. That part of it has a ripple effect for you. And that's a lot of where your imbalance is. That's a lot of where this battling energy comes from. And I don't know if this also has to do with, because I have a lot of masculine energy out on the table, I don't know if this also has to do with your masculine energy and the fact that of not being the protector for you when they needed to be the protector, not standing up for you in these moments when that manipulation was high, when that difficulty was a struggle. Back in the day is the way I almost want to say it. So it could be a father figure, it could be something else. But they're just talking about how this has really been the thing to kind of keep you stuck, keep you trapped. This has been it. This has been the thing to keep you stuck and keep you trapped, because it's almost like one of those things, like not only were you picked apart, not only were you manipulated, not only were you whatever, projected on, verbally or whatever, and specifically energetically, my goodness. But they're also talking about how this masculine, this emperor energy, this father, like this authority, in your mind was not a protected energy. Sometimes he didn't help you with that situation. It wasn't always there for you when you had to deal with those things, and you'll notice that a lot of the issues stem from that period of time, but that also goes right into your securities within self. And that's part of one of the reasons that you lock her away so tight. It's because you haven't dealt with her on the outside yet. She still controls that part of you. So you push it away naturally, because I'm not going to be anything like her. So your masculine's taken over, which is your fight or flight. But they want you to change the perspective that you look at your mother. So she doesn't have to be this big evil thing. She doesn't have to be this dragon, this thing with like 4 or 5 heads in your life. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't have to be this tough evil thing in your life. You can make her a super small obstacle. And a non-issue is what they want you to do. But for you, because it's pairing back to that push-pull, in that struggle strife, specifically for you, they're wanting you to go back and kind of look at it from the way your child saw it growing up, right? Not downplay it, because I feel like you might be somebody who downplays it, and I get it, because it happens. I work with a lot of people who downplay a lot of things, but we have to take accountability for the way that our child self saw it. Even though our adult self, we learn, oh, it's okay, it's not a big deal. Some things were tough, I was good over here, or whatever. Like, we kind of, like, over-rationalize it. So you tap me on the head. Over-rationalize it. And they're just kind of talking about how you need to kind of go back and allow that child to be heard. So no matter how they think they saw it, or no matter how much more it hurt them than they're willing to realize, and they're just kind of talking about one of these kind of areas, and that you haven't really done that in the way that your child needs to be heard. And ignoring it is what is pushing your healing further and further away. And that's the kind of pushing that they're talking about, that almost that avoidance of the fact. Because they're saying if you can get your child self on board, then in the now, like if we can bring your child back and kind of bring them back into the gray area, the neutral territory, and bridge that gap between your conscious and subconscious as far as your adult and child self go, then when you view your mom now, you're not going to view her from your childhood lens of being the menace, of being the thing that was hard to get along with, of being the one that, pushed her weight around, was a little bit of that bully energy. She won't be that anymore for you specifically. She'll just be her. And when you can just label people as them, you've released the control that she has over your emotions, your energy in motion, to trigger or elicit a certain response from you, whether that be agitation, chaos, irritation, annoyance. It doesn't matter what it is, or just that I'm never going to understand that person. You release yourself from all of that, and then you can get to the part of your healing to where you're like, they're over there, they're doing them, but I don't have to be over there with them. And that's the two different things. And that doesn't mean going no contact with, that's completely up to you. But it's more just the idea that we're on different levels. We're not gonna relate, right? And that'll be a part of the area for you where your growth will skyrocket. Because in order to get to that, not only do you have to accept yourself and how yourself felt, right? Because we've been denying it, according to your team. We've been denying it. But you also, you also then have to usher your feminine forward. Because in order to feel these things, in order to experience these things, you'd have to pull your feminine out of the closet a little bit. Which is going to be like kind of the twofer. But then you'll calm your masculine energy down. And you'll bring him back down from up in the clouds and swirling chaos energy in the headspace. You'll bring him back down by balancing that space out between your adult self and your child self, because he won't have to contain the chaos energy sent your way. It will no longer affect you. You know what I mean? It'll be that I'm rubber, you're glue kind of a thing. Bounces off of me and sticks on you. Yeah, so it's just not going to be, that was really weird. I don't know where that came from. But it'll be one of those things that it'll be a non-issue for you actually. Instead of an avoidant issue, it'll actually become a non-issue. Welcome in, everybody. So Miss LeighAnn, if you have any questions or if you want anything clarified, please let me know. I'm going to scroll back through and see if I can just see what we're all talking about. Thank you for the rose. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That song again. Thank you for the follow, pretty Scorpio. Thank you, thank you, thank you. They both want the mic. Yeah. Welcome in, Scorpio. Thank you so much for the gifts, myself and I one. Thank you for the heart. Yes, the path I'll work with. I work with all men. I have to be strong. I don't know how to be feminine, I swear. Yeah, it's you have to cultivate it. You do. My mom's always negative. Yeah, it's hard. Oh, I'm sorry I nailed her because that sounds tough. I'm sorry I nailed her. Thank you so much for the roses, Bethany. Thank you. Hey, how's it going? How is it going? I'm glad it was a huge help, What I like to call, I know who you are, but what am I energy? Mary P, how's it going? Welcome in. You gave me total direction, no more questions. Thank you. I'm glad it helped, LeighAnn. Seriously, I'm glad it helped. And you already know, we're going to post this on YouTube later on, so you can re-listen to it anytime you need to gain clarity or redirection, or you know what I mean? So you already know it's right there for you. So thank you so much for always supporting, and thank you for 9:49 on the clock. Thank you for always supporting. It is much appreciated. Much appreciated. I think that I have Miss Whitney. I think I have Miss Whitney on the list. Are you in here, Miss Whitney? Are you still here? The list is open, guys. We are doing 12-12. We have Cash App and we have Venmo. Just make sure if you donate, you come back in, you let us know how you donated. What do my spirit guides say? Love post breakup. Okay. So that's what we want to go with. So the topic of love post breakup. I feel like this song's for you. I don't know why. I just feel like it is. Typically, I end up zoning music out, and I don't remember what song we're on. All right, Miss Whitney. All right, Miss Whitney. Love. Hold on, I'm just still trying to make contact with your team a little bit. Can you do me a favor? Can you take like 3 deep breaths and can you just ask your team for permission? I feel like the connection is not as strong as it could be, and I just want to make it as strong as possible. So as long as, if you could just relay to them for some permission, just tell them that you're good. Okie dokie. Alright, Miss Whitney. There we go. There we go. Alrighty. Damn, it didn't just end, huh? It fell apart. Like that's the way that that's the way they're talking about it. It just didn't just end, it fell apart. It's almost like they're making me feel like the whole situation wasn't just like it stopped, like it fell apart piece by piece. Like that's the way that they're bringing it to the table, and that it fell apart piece by piece. They're calling like a quickly fell out of love is the way they're saying it, like a quick happening to fall out of love. Yeah. Yeah. So there's like a lack of being valued here. There's a lack of communication in the past relationship. There's a lack of caring. There's a lack of, almost want to call it, what's that word? Help me. Not even prioritizing. It's like a lack of initiative when it came to that relationship. They're just talking about almost like you've attempted, like it's like giving me the feelings of like you attempted to like put things. I want to use the word maintain. Like it's almost like you attempted to maintain things. I feel the need to tell you it wasn't going to work either way. This past relationship, it was going to be what it was regardless. So go ahead and push that out of the mind. Now post breakup, because now we just did like a memory lane. I'm not really sure why, but your team was really up for doing it, and I feel like I keep hearing someone from your team saying the signs were there. And I don't know if it's that you missed some of the signs or the subtle changes. that happened before the actual, like, fall apart. Like, but you do have somebody on your team who is, like, whispering in my ear almost, which is kind of interesting. Whispering in my ear about how the signs were there. And they just keep saying, the signs were there, over and over and over again. So I don't know if you saw the beginning of the shift, and then it's like, once the shift actually, like, started, it was like, boom, 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 and it was done. But it's like she's almost alluding to the fact that there were small changes. And I'm not sure necessarily if you saw them in the moment that way. Excuse me, transmutation. But she's being very specific in that she wants you to look back and notice the small shifts in the energy. And she's really being pertinent about the energy. And because she wants you to, like, she's talking about, she wants you to learn from it. Like, she wants you to get, like, almost more in tune, is what she is kind of alluding to. Like, almost more in tune to the shifts when you're dealing with others. And she's not even talking about just relationships. She's talking about, like, reading the room. Like reading between the lines almost, like what's not said, reading the energy behind what somebody's saying. So you might work with a lot of people who mask up, or you might be in contact with a lot of people who will say one thing and do another. So she wants you almost to, like, tap into the energy behind people, what they're saying. So if they're smiling at your face and telling you what you want to hear versus how they're saying it energetically, which is very interesting. So they're just kind of putting you in that position, and they're talking about how it was like almost like a conscious choice to ignore the subconscious, is the way that she's talking about it. A conscious choice to ignore the subconscious. So let's see if we can get her to kind of push past a little bit of this past relationship and then into the future a little bit, you know? So, I'm going to ask you a question, and you don't have to answer it. It's like a you question, because I won't look until we're all done. But it's like one of these questions that are kind of just for you, and if you don't feel comfortable answering it in the comments, you definitely don't have to. But just ask yourself this, because I'm feeling the need to ask you. Now, I feel like you're a self-aware person. Like, I really do, and I don't know why, because none of the cards have really shouted that you're a self-aware person, but I feel like the way that your team is talking about you and the fact that, like, you need to read the room, it makes me feel like it's almost like you're a very self-aware person, so you kind of saw these things and then were like, and kind of either didn't listen to them, downplayed them. So when I ask you this, it's only because you're a self-aware person in the way that they're describing your energy. Do you have an abandonment wound? And the reason, and that sounds very casual, but the reason is because they're talking about your trust. 5:59 or 9:59 on the clock. They're talking about your trust and almost your fear of being left is the way it is. Like your fear of betrayal, but also your fear of being lonely. And as I'm talking about fear, we literally have the four cards, the four swords that just dropped out on the table. And it's almost like this has been like a really big perpetual kind of a thing for you in particular, the way that they're throwing it out. about the lack of confidence in yourself, and it's almost led you into some not the best situations that don't like better yourself as a whole and in your energy and what you have going on. And we have the moon card out here all talking about the cycles of things, so it makes me feel like this has a deeper seated cycle for you as to why you're pining for something in the way of trying to prove yourself and make yourself seen and heard, so that you feel almost like this, like it's almost like you're giving your worth to another. It's like, so you're giving, you're like proving your worth, almost, is like the way that they're kind of saying, like proving your worth, so that way like somebody can't, like, I don't want to say can't leave. Weren't we just talking about trust? Like, they're just talking about how, I just feel as though there's something about your confidence here. I feel like on the outside, you appear to be very confident. I feel like on the outside, you do well. Like, that's what I want to say. Like, on the outside, you do well, because I do have the Empress out here, and I do have a couple of other feminines out here. But they're just talking about how on the inside, 1001, which is a palindrome, but which is also a mirror. So as we're talking about, but on the inside, they're talking about how security and confidence, like security and self-confidence, isn't always up to par. And it's almost like sometimes you get consumed by a lesser energy, and the lesser energy is more of that fear element. The lesser energy is more of that hesitation, and they're wanting you to bridge through this. And as we're talking about bridging through this, it's literally what even card was this? Balance. It's literally the balance card out here talking about, you know, bridging through this. And it's almost like you might kind of like do too much, like too much, and it to almost, I don't even want to say like clingy, like that's not even it, but it's like you do too much to like prove yourself and prove how awesome you are instead of just being awesome. And I think that this is what they want you to start seeing in yourself, that you overgive and it's not reciprocated. And whether that be time spent, whether that be, you know, energy for sure, but you just like keep giving, and you prove yourself, and you're like, oh, I'll do this for you, I'll do that, I'll fix your problem, I'll do it, like, and you like almost become the person who gives 10 things and maybe gets like a half a thing from somebody else, and it's really just been you kind of driving unbeknownst to you, because it's very subconscious, but like it might be because she's bringing it up, and I feel like you're a very aware person, like, to almost like this fear of like, well, if I do this and they can't leave, because then they'll see how worthy I am, and then they'll see how nice I am, and they'll see how good I am to them, and then this won't happen. They can't just up and leave a nice person. Like, it's almost like you like rationalize this. Yeah. It's literally like, I don't want to say like you try to paint a perfect picture, but that's almost like what it's like, you try to perfect things. And I feel like some of your perfecting gets in the way. Yeah. Some of your perfecting gets in the way. So let's see if we can go forward a little bit more. Because right now they're just keeping you stuck in the review. So let's see if we can get like a what happens after. Like what happens after your review. Let's see if they'll let us do a little flash forward, you know. She's like, not a chance. Not a chance. Nope. Yeah, she's not. I'm gonna be whole honest, she's not. And it's because like you have to escape your own trap. You know what I mean? Like, you have to escape your own trap here, because this has kept you stuck. This has dimmed your flame or your fire in one way, shape, or form, and it's going to be a slow growth for you, because you're going to have to put it into action. You're going to have to stick with it. You know what I mean? You're going to have to go through it. So you gonna be single as a Pringle for a little bit. Not super long. It depends how far you move through it. You know what I mean? But they're talking about how this is a bigger, like, this is in the bigger design of things. This is not just like, oh, some shitty relationship that went south fast. Like, no, this is purposeful. This was definitely placed there. They're just talking about how you don't quite see it right now. Like, you don't see it that way right now. And I feel like they're talking about almost the way you're placing your energy on, like, an outside perspective. On, like, an outside... Are we focusing on him? Hold on. Are you focusing on him? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Are we placing our focus on Mr. Lover? Yeah. Yeah, so we just gotta refocus our energy. It don't matter what he's doing. I feel the need to tell you, it doesn't matter in the slightest what he's doing. If you're focusing on him, of course you're not gonna see it clearly because he's not the prize here, not at all, because he's got his own issues. Yeah. So we gotta change your perspective. Your perspective's got to be on you, because this is divinely placed for you, even though it doesn't feel like it right now. You're one of those people who has to learn the hard lessons through work. Someone can't tell you it. You gotta experience it yourself. And this is one of those experiences. We got the Hierophant out here. This is truly meant to be a lesson and a blessing in disguise, you know, that you definitely don't see right now. But they don't want you to be worried about what he's doing. So if you are checking up on him, like if you're peeping at what he's got going on, maybe his social media, or keeping tabs on, like, the Facebook or something like that, don't stop doing that. You're keeping yourself in a perpetual pattern, and you're keeping yourself in a perpetual loop. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so you gotta make a decision, you gotta make a choice to quit peeking. You gotta make a choice to quit peeking. Yeah, so they want you to start putting work into you. I'm gonna still try to keep pushing out for you, though, because she gonna keep you right here. Like, every time I keep asking, she somehow throws a cookie and then, like, kicks it back to, like... Resisting your tower. Resisting your change. Resisting your tower. Resisting balancing. You are resisting this because you don't like it, because it's uncomfortable. It was placed there for a reason. Don't get distracted by this pretend King of Pentacles that you're staring at. You know what I mean? Like, don't get distracted by what he has going on. I feel like I need to tell you it's a facade, because I feel like... They're using the word bed jumping, which I know is kind of cringy, but they're using the word bed jumping, and it makes me feel like he's moving from one place to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other, and not, he's not taking any time in between. Like, that's the way it feels. He's not taking any time in between, and when he's not taking time, he's crutching. Like, he's crutching on things, so he not in a good place, even if it looks like he's in a good place. That's the way I want to say it. So change your perspective on how you look at that. Change your perspective on how you look at that, because it's truly a distraction. It is a distraction for you, keeping you stuck. He's worse off than you think. And don't get excited. I feel like your guide's rolling her eyes. Like, don't get excited. Don't pray for his downfall. Karma will find him, and he'll have to learn his lesson just like you will. However, because they're talking about how he kind of played a little bit with emotions. I don't know why. I don't know if he was somebody who used to play with your emotions, or he was just very immature emotionally. But he gonna have to come to terms with that. Like, he's gonna have to, but that's his journey. So she wants you to focus on what you have going on, which is your journey, and focusing on you, how you love yourself, and what you need, and why you pour into others who you know, because this is what she's taught, like, who you know can't give you what you give them. This is what your guide's talking about right now. This is what she's trying to allude to you, is that you overgive, you give too much, and you see it. Like, you see that they cannot do for you what you do for them. So you not only have like a love bomb, almost like a love bomb in the way of like physical tasks, like physical, like love bomb or whatever, like time spent, maybe physical touch, whatever your love language is. It's like a dumping of, not only to prove your worth, but it's also like to prove that you can do, like, it's like painting this picture, but it's also like a fear of like not being worthy enough, not like of losing somebody, of somebody leaving. What if I'm not good enough? Like, it's like this big ball of stuff that's like supposed to be way back there. But she wants you to start looking at it, because we need to start undoing it, is the way that she's saying, because she's saying that you can kind of see it. You could see when things were shifting, whether you want to admit it to yourself or not. Like, she's talking about how you're a very aware person, and she wants you to start like trusting, transmutation. She wants you to start trusting what you get. Like, she wants you to start trusting what you see. I would sit with you for a little while. I'm going to be honest. I would sit with you for a little while. I got the Fool card upside down. And I just feel like now is not the time for you to jump into something different. I feel like she wants you to kind of learn this one. Learn what you missed. See what you got to work on, because they're highlighting like your overdue energy, but your overdue energy and almost the fact that you're selling yourself. Like, not only you're selling yourself short, but it's like you are selling yourself to somebody. Like, look how good I am. Look at all my bells and whistles. And once you learn all my bells and whistles, like, you can say no. And she's just saying that there's something she doesn't want you to do anymore. She's using the words beneath you. She's talking about it's beneath you. It's beneath your worth. It's beneath who you are, is what she's talking about. You don't have to sell anything if you're packaged correctly, is the way that she's saying it. You don't have to, which is so odd. When I tell you I've never said that before in my life. You don't have to sell yourself if you're packaged correctly. They know what they're getting. And that's somebody write that down. Like, that may show up in a video somewhere, because that is awesome. But that's exactly the energy she's talking about. Is like, you don't need to sell it. Like, package it correctly. They know what they're getting into. Like, she doesn't want you to change you. Like, she wants you to embrace you and figure out why you're going after people who you know can't give you what you give them. That's what she wants you to do. But as far as post love, she's not even putting any emphasis on it. So like, post after love is your healing journey, because she doesn't want you to do this again. I'm not getting anything like love after love. No, not right now. Not right now. I'm gonna be honest. You have free will, and you can choose to engage in a relationship. That's entirely up to you. But it's not gonna be love. It's gonna be lust at best, is what she's saying. It's not gonna be anything too promising. Fast in a fight if you get in that. Fast in a fight if you get in that. Like, if you jump from one thing to the other, she's like, all you're gonna get is turmoil. All you're gonna get is a fast fight. If you jump from one thing to the other, you're gonna be overrun with burdens, and you're still gonna have hard choices to make. That's exactly what she's talking about. If you just jump from one thing to the other like somebody else did, you just run on in there. Seven of Wands. Like, nope. It's time for you to learn to stand in your power, and it's time for you to see yourself. But she does want you to heal your little bit of like an abandonment, loss. I don't want to say loss, almost like rejection, but like an abandonment, rejection wound, I guess. She wants you to heal that, and she's pretty adamant that you already know it exists. That's your tower. That's your awareness of your Knight of Wands in reverse. You don't want to head that way. You're like, nah, like, we could just go around maybe the island, and we'll hit the other side. And she's like, I'll move the island. It's like this fun cat and mouse game that you guys do. Like, yeah. You have your new beginning, your new physical beginning, but you're resisting the transition to get there. You know what I mean? You're resisting the transition to get there. So the transition that's going to get you to what you want is taking a look at the red flags in the most recent relationship, but then also seeing where that wound stems from, and why you're putting yourself in those situations, because she's saying that that's something you could have seen from a mile away. Yes. So Miss Whitney, that was awesome. I hope that I can remember whatever that saying was, because that was crazy. If you have any questions, or if you need anything clarified, let me know. I'm gonna scroll back through here, and I'm gonna just read everything you wrote, because I haven't read it yet. I'm gonna read everything that everyone commented. So if you have something, go ahead and just drop her on down, and I'll get to it as soon as I read all of this. Okay. 2.5 months ago abruptly ended. Oh, Jesus. Paintain. Hi, Mr. Frank. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome in. I'm glad you're here. I know I am, and I've reflected so much. Yes, self-aware. When I leave, I realize the positives. I'm lonely for sure. 3-3, not confident at all. Oh, jeez. Successful business owner. A lot going on for me, and I'm always overachieving, getting in my own way with relationships. He's dating not a month after, and we were together for 2 years. Ew. Well, that makes sense based on what they said. Yes, not confident at all, but I am desired. I feel people pleaser and giver. Yeah, so like you're a self-aware person. Like I love self-aware people. Like I love working with self-aware people, because the problem isn't discovering awareness. You have awareness. The problem is kicking your own butt to put it into action. Like, what are you going to do with it now? Like, right? You got your know better, your awareness. Well, what are we going to do with it? And sometimes it's kicking people in the pants, you know what I mean? That gets them moving off of what they know. You know, if you know you have those issues aren't cute. Nobody likes their issues. That's why we call them issues. They're problems, right? Like to us. So then it's like you have to force yourself to kind of do it. But it's one of those things, usually the people who are very self-aware, they want those things to have happened, but there's some other sort of fear of like, but what if I don't have those anymore? Like, what happens then? Or like, but what if it actually works? What if I feel better? Like, there's usually an underlying fear that is sticking somebody where they're at, or they like their story. Those are usually the two things. It's like they like the story, you know what I mean, that they tell themselves, because it's comfortable. They've made it their comfort zone. So you have to decide which one are you. And if you're just the kick the pants person, that's the best kind of healing that you need, because all you got to do is you got to not think and just do it. People be like, it's so hard not to think. Nope. Just when you catch yourself thinking, go, I'm going to shut up now and I'm just going to go do it. You know what I mean? He can't be healed after 1 month. That's what I want to do. He's dating, moving on after 1 month. He can't be healed after 1 month. No, he's not healed at all. Definitely, I'm mad at the timing. So much has changed since he ended it for business and personal growth. I know I have a hard time moving on from it, because I know he truly tried and cared. Yeah. GL, welcome in. He's stubborn, and I hurt him, I feel, by not moving in. He's avoidant, I feel. Yeah, but you know what? That's his journey, right? Like, so that's his to deal with. So you don't have to understand it. You don't have to rationalize it. You can feel bad about it, but then you kind of got to release yourself from that too, because just moving in doesn't end relationships, right? Like, one decision shouldn't end relationships that are meant to stay, right? So if you guys couldn't talk about it, couldn't come to a thing, like, then there's something else going on. You know what I mean? So you can feel for him, but you can't accept responsibility for him and his journey, right? Like, you can know that he's sometimes stubborn. You can know that he's crutching on other relationships. You can know all those things because you were with him in a relationship. But what he does after you guys break up, that's up to him. You know, and that's what they're talking about like the distraction part. You got to release yourself from the burdens that are his emotions to deal with, that are his problems to deal with. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things. I wanted it to work for us, but stuck here, out of control. Yeah. Yeah. So bed hopping, for sure post breakup for him, but with one person now. Was avoidant due to work stress, and he didn't communicate his needs. Yeah. But that's all things you know, right? You know his stuff, right? They want you to look at your stuff. Yeah, self-aware. Like, that's all things that you know about him, but they want you to look at your stuff. Because it takes two to tango. You know? It takes two to be in a relationship. So they're calling you, yeah, you see his red flags. Congratulations, step one. Now you gotta see your red flags. Now you gotta see where you weren't giving enough. And that could just be to you, where you were sacrificing yourself in one way, shape, or form. Or, you know, your heart wasn't in it, or you were distracted, or what was holding you back, or why didn't you want to do things? Why didn't you want to move? Like, you know, did you just not feel like you were a good connection? Did you not? Whatever. Like, you have to ask yourself the hard questions, because at the end of the day, if you don't want to move forward, but you're in a relationship, you're settling. Like, right? Like, you're settling, and you're self-sabotaging yourself in one way, shape, or form. You know, you're keeping yourself stuck or stagnant. You're resisting the movement, the flow. So it's like, why were you doing those things? What was holding you back? That's what she wants you to kind of look at. It's not the fact that you were held back. It doesn't matter. But in order to not repeat it again in another relationship, you need to address it, right? So, like, what's your fear there? What's holding you back? And we don't have to do it here, you know what I mean? Like, that's just those self-questions that, like, she was trying to get you to prompt into, because this is something that, like, hasn't been lesson completed for you, because you haven't brought it full circle yet, back to self, you know, because it takes, like, this was, like, that's kind of what they're talking about, like, it takes two to tango, right? There's two people in a relationship. The failure of the relationship doesn't just depend on one person, you know? Yeah. So it sounds like you know what to do, Miss Whitney. It's just, are you going to kick yourself in the pants enough to go do it? You know? Welcome in, guys. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We're going to do last call right now. So if you want to get on the list, last call. Everything is 1212. We have Cash App. We have Venmo. Thank you so much for everybody who has spent time and energy here with us. Thank you, everyone who has given gifts. Thank you for all the follows, the shares. Thank you for everyone who's been down in those comments talking to us. Thank you for everyone who donated for a read. It is much appreciated. If you are not a member of the website, please go join. It's free, and there's a lot of awesome stuff on there. We have a free tree of knowledge that we post 2-3 times a week. Gets in almost any spiritual topic that you can think of, and we're going to continue to keep branching. There's over 100 different articles posted on a lot of different things. We also have a handmade shop, which is spiritual products, anything from bath teas to candle kits to music to classes, spiritual classes, to macrame, and there's just a whole lot of cool stuff. We also have private services. For anybody in here who's maybe looking for other content, we're also on Instagram, and we're also on YouTube. Now, for those of you who don't know, and especially Miss Whitney, because I don't believe I've read for you before, everything is posted on YouTube. So your read will be found on YouTube should you want to re-listen to it or re-watch it. So it'll be time-stamped, dated, and you can scroll to the description, find your name, and listen to your read all over again. So if that's something you're into, just know that we do that and everything's free there as well. We also post all of our videos, all three of us in the business. We cross-post them on YouTube, divide them into playlists for your guys' easy listening and watching. But we also have a meditation playlist. So if you're someone who's looking for sounds or frequency music or things that work for others, we have about like 50 or so songs on a playlist there. So feel free to utilize any of them. That's 100% free, doesn't cost you anything. So we just want to make sure that you know all the things that are available to you. So thank you so much for everyone for being here. Thank you for all your time, space, and precious energy you spent with us. And then I will see you guys tomorrow. We will be back on doing the very same thing. And maybe like 11:30, you know. Oh, Miss Bethany, you're welcome. Thank you so much as well. You know, the soul in me honors the soul in you. I 100% stand behind that. Thank you guys, and I will see you later on. I will be on tomorrow around like 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. Bye.